Hey everyone out there, hi bump lovers. Welcome to another exciting, engaging episode of Bump Love. Before we delve into the show, I would like to start off by saying hey and a great thank you to our sponsors, Shades of Beauty on our face beat, our threads are by fashion episode, and our boots and heels are from the shoe puzzle. We are at the Golden Tulip. The Golden Tulip is located in the heart of Kampala at plot 12 Kafu B Road. And behind the lenses are our sponsors who we usually forget to say thank you to.
Oh, yeah.
Flowers to Garage Group.
Production team.
We thank you guys for all the people who work tirelessly behind the scenes for us to look this good.
Yeah.
On the show today, we are going to discuss sweet, emotional, touchy subject, and that is the mother-son relationship. So ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I would like us to start off by describing the type of relationships that we saw with our mothers and brothers growing up, and whether that has affected the kind of mothers that we have become to our sons today.
So I have one brother, and I have shared on the show before that he came as a, so it was a surprise. There were 3 girls before him, and then, you know, when my mom was expecting her 4th child, they had gotten to the point where it's like, okay, if we get a girl, we thank God. If we get a boy, we thank God.
Yeah.
But we
would really like a boy, yes. But at 3 girls, it was like, we are really playing with fire here. Chances are it's going to be a girl. And so my brother came. So excitement, pomp, and oh my gosh, we have a boy, and then he's the last born. So my mom and my brother enjoyed a really close relationship. They still do to this point.
Okay.
I was actually talking to her about this last night. She said we were very close, still are. Sam shared with her, you know, his little secrets, fast crush, those things of like, these are my struggles, this is the girl that I like. Introduced to her most of, you know, the girls that he has dated in the past. So there was that close-knit relationship. She doesn't feel like she's smothered him. I think because of her education background, she's an educator. She was always cautious of that balance. First
she was
aware of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was really no favoritism or you know, picking him over us or just leave the boy or that kind of thing. She was very aware of it. And so, so they enjoyed that close relationship. They are still close to this day, but within reason, I guess, because he's an adult and he still tells her things, but like after he has processed and manages the information, before he relays the information. Has it affected how I relate with my son? So obviously I have nothing to compare it with, but I'm very close with Micah. And we have enjoyed a very close relationship for a very long time. It's only recently that he and Ben have now started bonding. And it's so, oh my gosh, it's so
it's nice,
lovely to watch.
Until it becomes too much, but carry on.
I might be on the verge of now starting to get jealous because those guys spend time together. Yes, they have their inside jokes. And like, okay, so I see my husband trying to involve me, like, you tell mommy what we did, or like, tell mommy this thing that you told me. So he tells me, but I'm like, it's not the same. So they have that like really, really close bond, and I enjoy watching it. But I've seen Micah be very protective
over
me, especially when it comes to his dad.
Yes.
So there are times when you're having a conversation with your partner and you're not quarreling, but like it's heated. Yes. You're arguing about something, like maybe say something you saw on the road and you're like, no, like this is what I think. Like Ben and I usually have arguments about traffic, like which route has the most traffic. I'm like, no, I pass there this time, and my husband is like, I have done the math. When you pass there at this hour, the traffic is so an argument like that. We're not quarreling.
It's just,
but like if Micah is in the room, he'd be like, Daddy, don't talk to mommy like that. Like guys, don't talk to, and he's not protective of his father. He's just saying, don't talk to mommy like that. And I mean, for a second it warms my heart. I'm like, don't talk to me like that. You know, at times so we have to tell him, no, we're just having a conversation. Yes, it's a bit heated, but one of the things that I noticed really recently is Ben has been involved in this production on Pearl Magic Prime called Beloved.
Oh, yeah.
and he has a love interest
Yes.
on the show.
Yes.
So, I mean, in the beginning, we were all excited that, Dad is going to be on the show. So Micah was watching the show until after a while, we're like, there are certain themes here that are more adult related than. So we have pulled back on him watching the show. But when we pulled back, Ben had started to like flirt with this girl. And I remember when he watched that, Mom told me that the following day he was beside himself. Like he was not happy. Yes, he was not happy. I remember she told me that there was a guest who came home and he kept on saying, "You need to love your wife."
What? Oh, wow.
He said, "You need to love your wife. Do you love your wife?"
Remind us again for the audience, how old is Micah?
Micah is 8.
8 years old now.
Yes. 8. You need to love your wife. And so my mom was like, where is this coming from? Then she remembered, she was like, yesterday we watched the show and he was with this chick and I think he wanted to buy her lunch or something like that. And he was like, he was not fine. I mean, even after watching the episode, he was not okay. Because he was like,
Not
something.
only him, even the bump lover.
You are not ever there yet. Are you serious? I saw a comment, yes. They were not okay. Yes.
I must confess, my kids, we watched that show.
Really?
And my kids were very unhappy with that.
Really?
They were like, oh my God.
Really?
They were like, but why is Auntie Rachel's husband with another wife?
They're like, you need to check on Auntie Rachel.
Oh my God!
Are you guys for real?
The truth is, I haven't read the comments, but if that means anything, flowers to Mr. Mwini. He's a great actor.
Clearly. So Micah was beside himself, and I was like, okay, I think that's coming from his protectiveness of me and concern, and like the close bond that we really share. I spend a lot of time with Micah because I work with the school where he's at, and so there are moments, like sometimes I'll bump into him and he's like, oh, I was coming to check on you. My 8-year-old was coming to check on me.
Enjoy it.
I know.
I actually remember telling my son, no, they are just acting. And then right now I'm just reminded that when we were younger, you know how you'd be involved with the wrong character. You just want to find that person who is being mean on TV
and punch them.
You're taking it very
literally.
So I think you need to talk to him.
For sure.
You
Okay,
need
so
to.
he doesn't watch the show anymore.
Yeah,
because the themes I think had become a bit too adult.
Yes.
Yeah, so, but I think I need to pick up a conversation with him. I never did, but I think my mom tried to explain with him, no, they're acting, this, it's not real. But I don't know if his mind has...
Oh, yes, it has. By the time he can tell that there's something and it's public and everybody is seeing my father. One of the things that I share with many parents is that when you're going to do, your children need to know your work. No matter how you feel it is. So this thing, even when you know that he's going to act, you need to be able to say, okay, so Dad is going to start acting even before, because he's seen the script and he's acted some of these scenes out. So you should be able to say, and then come to the scene, come and see what's happening. So come to the set, come to the set, meet the people, and so that you can protect him from his own mind, because it goes.
But for you, baby girl, how did it make you feel? Because me, I don't think I would allow it. Even me, I've been Micah. You know, like Denzel Washington, he has an arrangement, like with all his producers and everything. He doesn't do those scenes. He's only done it in one movie. And that was to protect his family. He says, I don't know how that would make people feel. He says, you look at Hollywood, their marriages are all distorted. And I feel this is one of the reasons, because people think that you can separate the actor from the individual. And yet most times it's difficult. So imagine a child like that, and it means you're telling the child to repress that emotion, but it's there and it's alive. And some wives and women and adults are going through it, and they're going through the same emotions that those children are going through, but somebody is telling them to repress that emotion. Again, baby girl, how do you feel about it? I need to hear how she feels.
So, I don't, honestly, I haven't found a word. I haven't found
there's
a
something.
word.
It's not like you
It's
understand.
not jealousy or I can
I get it.
separate the feeling. I think it's more that's awkward.
Yeah, there must be something like an awkward feeling.
I don't want to watch that.
Yeah, we don't like that girl. What's her name?
Ramona.
We hate Ramona. We hate Ramona.
It's just awkward for me to watch.
You know what's interesting? That's how Brian and I lost the role in the hostel. So I was acting the part of Elena.
Yes.
Yeah, Elena Nawiso at that time.
Yeah.
Oh, well, she's Nawiso now, but Elena. So when we started, I was Elena. I was the hostel girl. And so we do the trials and everything, and then they tell me, so now this is the boy. Now it was going to be Matthew.
Yes.
I tell them, no, it has to be Brian. He's a great actor also. So if I'm to do this thing, it has to be Brian. And we were engaged to be married. Well, we were in a relationship. So I told him, no, I can't act this part unless I'm acting with Brian. So anyway, that's how we were removed. And we couldn't take that role. But then what's interesting is Brian was telling us later, Brian said later, you know, Elena and Matthew did fall in love and get married. Yes, on that set. So he's like, Kati, you can be here and you are going to be Nawiso's wife. And you stay.
That's so interesting.
It's interesting. It's an interesting.
I mean, and credit to Hollywood, because I watch some series and you can see that chemistry is intense. I usually go to Google and I'm like, are these guys like in a relationship? And chances are they are not.
Yeah.
They have like their spouses up. But I'm like, how do their spouses feel?
Yeah. Now you asked and you got.
Now I'm like, oh, it's me now.
Ramona. So back to the episode. So I think from where I was seated as a second-born child and first girl, my brother was the first-born. I can only say from the angle where I was, I always felt like in our home there was a general understanding that my mother would raise her daughters and my father would raise his son. It just seemed that way. It just seemed like that. Because yes, there was some discipline from dad, but it was more mom putting us in line, the girls, and then more my father putting his son in line and loving his girls. And then my mother loving on her son. You know. So I just always felt that he just got away with shit, with smack. Like, yeah, he just got away with anything. But I think there were too many things involved. You see, from my mom. For my dad. My dad, it was military. Like, there was no nonsense. Like you're a boy. My home, I grew up in a home of stereotypical gender roles. Like, that's just what it was. Even if it was women we were empowered. So I grew up in a home completely, I was empowered the entire time, esteem, confidence as a woman and my own person. But when it came to certain things in the home, you had to identify you're a girl, and these are things girls do, and you're a boy, these are things boys do. So, but because of that empowerment, it became a little funny that my brother was allowed to do so many other things. You know, things like, even like me, I like to go out, go have a laugh with my friends, but I wasn't really allowed to do it. But my brother would just do it. My curfew was always much, much earlier. And his, it was like, and even when he comes back, there's no real repercussions, unless it's on my dad, never from my mom. Never. It was only just like something, but it was clear. But again, when it comes to the closeness, I think there's a lot of personality involved.
Yes, there is.
Like the same way Micah and Teja are different, and their mothers are different.
Yes.
So me and my mom and my brother. My brother has an independent personality, real firstborn type personality of, I've got this, I can do anything. And then my mom has always fostered independence in children. So you'll never ever see either of us like having that emotional closeness with my mother. When Angie talks about talking to her mother on the phone, no, I'm talking to my mother because something needs to get done. There's just something. It's just that the love is silent, you know. It's not that, oh, yes, mommy, oh, I love you. It's not, that's not there at all. You just feel the love in action, in how I respect you. I understand your interests. I want what's great for you. I want what's good for you. How can we get that to work? So that's just our family dynamic. So when you speak about closeness of mothers and sons, I don't see it between my mother and my brother. I just saw that he just used to get away with shit. But I honestly believe it's because he's a boy. And boys are just allowed to get away with so many things by their moms. It's not, no one, it's not as worrying as a girl. So I honestly think it was just a gender issue. I don't know. But with me and Teja, again, like Rachel, I don't have any comparison. I only have one child. So it can never be a case of mothers and their sons. I don't know if I would have behaved different if I had a daughter. I have no idea. But between me and Teja, it's just the physical connection is gone. That's for sure. With Bonga, that's it. He'll come, if he does a hug, it's this side hug.
The Christian side hug.
And it's quick, and it's very quick. And he's looking up to make sure nobody is seeing. But that's been there for a long time. Even by the time Micah, Teja was like 6. You saw the pull away, and me, I don't mind the pull. Honestly, I don't mind the pull. But you can see that emotional connection is there between Teja and I. But it's also, it's that silent. Teja will just tell you something out of the blue. And you're like, what? Teja told me he's back from school. And I said something, and then he just told me. His love is expressed like in, it's not that endearing and what. He just said, yeah, I know what you mean, but for me, I don't have an average mom. That's how he shows his love. That's it. He compliments. He'll just say something, and it's not like, oh wow, I really like your hair. He'll be like, oh mom, where did your hair from? I think it's really nice. You should keep going there. That's it. But it won't be like it's just it's validation. He affirms, he validates. That's how I see his love, and that's how I prefer it. That's how I prefer to receive it. Because we went to one of his best friends' home one time, and I found her 14-year-old son in his lap. In his mom's lap,
and you are beside yourself.
Madam, what is happening? And they were both enjoying each other. They were both very happy in that moment. This is a child who has gone off to boarding school, and I first kept, I was like, let me first. This dynamic is strange. It's strange. But for them, they live off that physical connection. But for me, I was like, no, this physical connection, I'm so glad it's done. He's really close to his dad, and me, it's lovely to watch, and I embrace it. I've never got jealous of it. Actually, I even nurture it and foster it even more, so that his macho side is also can be. So for us, it's just, I think the emotional connection really is the one that's there, and it's not lovey-dovey emotional. It's just straight farm macho guy and a chick of you're this, you're that, that, and
Let me talk to you.
The mothers
of boys. Because they are going to tell us their relationship with
each one of their sons.
Let me come with the ones of one. Let me in the end here. I've told you guys on the show before that my mom raised us in bulk. Because she didn't have the luxury to have a husband in the home and money. She was looking for, she was a husband, she was the father, she was the provider, she was the protector, she was the priest, she was all those things. So she didn't have the luxury to separate between, she just raised all of you. All of you is at the same time. All of you cook. All of you wash. All of you mop. All of you work hard. All of you bring money. Everyone at the same rate. She didn't even know age. You know, she just went as is. You have a period over you will be there. You're in mood swings. As a man, all of us, we are the same. And so growing up, that's obviously what I do. However, I got the privilege to be able to do more. And so what I've done, like now, I recognize what my mom did and I appreciate it, and I do it. As much as I can, everything is the same. What changes in our bond is their personalities. So when you say that, I was like, exactly. For me, the bond is based on the personalities. And there's 4 types of children. And I think I've shared before that type 1, type 2, type 3, and type 4 child. And the type 1 child is a fun-loving child. And so you bond with the fun-loving child as the fun-loving child.
Yes.
The type 2 child is the more sensitive child. The type 3 child is the determined child. And the type 4 child is, that one.
Yeah.
And so Blake, who's my son, happens to be a type 2 and a type 4. And they're more introspective. Everything happens inside. And as a mom, now me, I am a sanguine and choleric mom. I am an out. And so I have to be, and Bianca and I, we are both very, so we continue on that wavelength. And so what happens is that now when it comes to Blake, I have to seek it. Because I feel so much can get lost. He can be feeling a certain way, and because he's introverted, and if I let it go, it will real go. And if it is to harm him, it will harm him. And I'm so scared of being the parent that causes trauma to my children. Where my children have to heal from me, I would cry. Where a child says I have to go, my mother, I don't know, my traumatized me. I cannot be the cause of trauma to my children. And so I don't let those things go. And so I'm constantly seeking to find out what's inside. Because Bianca will come and she wears her emotions on her sleeves. But Blake is constant. Someone gets an accident, same thing. Someone gets, it's a birthday, it's the same. He's so constant. And so I have to seek it out and ask him. And usually with a sensitive child, you find they are very deep thinkers. They make conclusions. They test hypotheses. And you are the I remember I went to his school for these parent-teacher conferences, and the teacher said, we realize that Blake asks very deep questions. What should we do, you know? And then I told them, usually he's also asked me. And what he does is he asks all the adults in his life the same question. He already has an answer, and he sees which adult gives him the answer that most aligns with him. And then that is the one he relates with. So he's tested all of us, from the principal to his class teachers, to the class teachers of Bianca, to his aunties, even to you guys. He asks you like random questions and then watches you. And then arranges you in his head where you fall. And I have to watch that. I have to know, like, what was he thinking? And so my relationship with him, for me, has been that. And sometimes I fear that it comes from a place of fear. You know, I'm just like, there are things he will see and he will say, Mommy, God said it. I'm like, but even me, I'm not yet there. How are you? How are you already there? How? So my relationship with him is really based on his personality and my personality, and the difference, and just trying to find that middle ground. That gel.
Okay, I'll go the one with the Asian children. I won't speak about they are men to the world, but they're Asian babies to me, so we strike a balance there. So in my case, because I'm born at the tail end of my family, so I cannot speak about what it was like when my brothers were younger. But I can speak about, you know, these Bump Love shows, what I like about them, they ignite things with the audience, but they also ignite a lot of stuff with us. You know, you dial back and then you're like, okay, how did that particular thing affect us? So in my case, what I noticed, first of all, my mom is like, my mom is like way stronger than my dad in terms of personality. So I know she's a tough love mom, but I notice now that she must, during the time when I was old enough to understand, she was struggling with letting go of her sons. Yes, I kind of think that that must have been it, and she wasn't prepared for it because, you know, nowadays we have the luxury of having all this information thrown at us. But I think she did struggle with it, but then she was able to overcome it, and what I saw was the overcoming. I noticed you guys, we always used to say, but will Angie's kids ever leave? They cannot even. But when the time came, I kind of just walked into it. And then before I realized it, I'm an empty nester. And it's okay. Because I saw it was okay with my mom, much as she wanted to keep her boys close. I saw everything good that came out when she finally said, you know what, these are men. So when I started, when I'm with the boys and when I got to that stage where I started feeling that they are pulling away, instead now I did what my mom did at the end, because you know, you learn, is that I now started being more of guidance and support rather than do this, do the other. So because of that, you know, at 13, you're like, okay, but what did you think? You start asking them questions. As they grew, if you hear the conversations I have now with my sons, I'm asking them. You know, like, Papa, there's a dashboard, but I'm stuck somewhere. And they're quick to take on that role of now we are in position to assist
to help mom.
And this goes back to about 15 years ago, or 13 years ago, when I realized I couldn't reach, and yet Papa could reach. So there I was pulling a stool, because in my mind I knew Mama is the one who reaches. And then he just passed over and did this and gave it to me. Then I was like,
something changed.
The shift. So that shift starts taking place 13, 14, 15, 16. And if you glide with it, much as I'm the type who'd love to have my children close by, I sat comfortably and watched my sons leave home. Today, my son lives.
Angie.
It was not
comfortable. It was anything but comfortable.
We were here for it.
You know how a woman describes her childbirth experience?
Yes.
She cannot describe it how it happened in the moment. She cannot. She cannot. If you tell a woman to describe her childbirth moment, 3 years later, it changes. It changes. Yeah, it's watered down incredibly. We were there when Angie's sons were leaving. She thinks she's comfortable because she could have been worse.
I think that could be it.
She thinks she was actually, what she's saying is right. She was comfortable because that was her place of comfort. But me, I used to say that struggle. There was a struggle there, but I was so proud of her. I was so proud of her. You were proud of yourself. Because I was so happy. Actually, I was not proud. I was a bit fearful in that time because I was like,
the way she used to talk about
it. But she did actually. She did glide through.
Actually,
But if we had allowed her, as in, if it was the real Angie who had not done the work, you guys, even Bampla would now be okay. She would not be okay. She's wherever they are.
I guess
we, as I said, when we dial back and look at things internally, because of this show, as you said, it could have been worse.
It
would definitely could have been.
I really
worse.
think
it would have been. But when I was ready, because remember the kids.
I even remember. Let me remind you. We talked about your empty nest before it happened. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yes.
And you got
I was so
emotional.
worried. I remember. That's what I'm trying to say, that the person that I am now, when I look back, I realize
I actually agree with you. And let me talk for you. You know, she talks for us today. I'm actually also add for her. People, we sat down with Angie. And I remember everyone putting their kind of thought. Choka, we are there with Ngashi say attending. I said, Chukulu, you people, you don't understand.
You don't understand.
And we went through that period, but I remember that it was in that moment, I feel that it was in that moment that you accepted that I don't remember what it was. I don't know whether we were going to shoot. I don't remember what it was. You accepted that you had done a good job.
Oh, yeah.
And then I remember you said, it's the only way I'll know.
Exactly.
This is true.
Do you remember? That conversation?
Because even OJ couldn't believe. I literally walked up and told the boys, "We're going to look. You're going to get a house."
A house.
Yes.
And that's why I'm saying that when I look back, I realize
did
my
amazing.
strength comes from my weakness. When I tell you I'm afraid of something, it means I am getting ready now to conquer.
I love it.
I have at Papa's house. He lives less than maybe 5 kilometers from me.
She had to.
There's great compromises. Great compromise.
You did well. When I finally got the house, it was not me at all. But if you ask my son, he'll tell you.
Wanted it.
Mama has never. I never ever visit them.
Their place,
With this sense of just popping in, and even when they give me permission,
Yeah.
there are days you reach and they're like dishes in the sink.
Yeah, you want to say something.
That don't come because you may find me and you collapse. Then you say, hey, what's happening? What's happening here? I'm there chilling. Now I can whiskey.
All the work she has done all these years.
But like when I go to their room, his room is always closed. He enters. What do other mothers feel it? His room, he closes that door. I'm like, over there is a girl there. But these days I'm brave, I can be there chilling. I want to pick up like a dirty socks, but they've invited me to their house, so I drink and we have a good time and I go back to my home. But I don't visit my babies, I don't visit them, I don't check on them, I don't have opinions about their girlfriends.
Apart from Pumla.
Except Pumla. But Pumla is not a girlfriend. She's potential, she's in the line, but there's a roadblock here.
In the queue.
There's a matriarch who won't allow her to pass.
To pour all your
You will
work.
be Mrs. Omeke, but I'll also be
I'll
Mrs.
Omeke. And I told her I'll even drop the Nabachua. I will be Pumela
Fire. Because as we know somebody else, we have to pass. Oh God, I don't confuse that. Wow. I remember, I feel like I've shared this a couple of times before, but I'll say it again. My brother came in 15 years later. It was my sister and myself for a very long time until a boy came. So as you can imagine, my mother, excited. My father, over the moon, like they were really excited. But I remember because I was older, sometimes it would be me to tell my mom, no, now you're going overboard. Now you're spoiling that. I remember there's a time, I don't remember what he did, and I got a slipper to cane him for what he had done. And my mom was like, no, leave him. Because for me then, I knew better. I knew that, I knew how to discipline. I knew when, a child was going over.
As if the mom didn't know.
As if the mom didn't know. As if, for her, she was in a glory of having a boy. These daughters of Kajanja, it was like 2 mothers now in the house. But that relationship was amazing. She loved on her son. I saw them like up to the time she, passed on. Like they have a special bond. My brother knew that she had a friend. Yeah. It was them against the world. Like what? I have a mom I can run back to. I feel like he has matured in a couple of months already after her passing. But they had a special bond. And when he grew older, he became more disciplined. Like he wasn't a spoiled child, because then, when he came to my place as we were mature, I felt like that was a very good balance for him. But that's what I saw growing up. I just saw a mother create a special bond with their son. Like he will always look back and know I was loved. And for me, that was very special. I was loved, no matter what. I was loved, and that's all that matters. I had a mom who loved me regardless of what the world threw at me. How did that affect me raising my sons? I don't know if I look back so often to pick leaves, besides the love and nurture
live. I feel like my bond with my children is mine. Like I'm not, I'm understanding them differently because they have different temperaments. I know one who would kill for me. Sesanga would kill for me. Like he wants to have Fata, my second child. He wants that boy. He doesn't want me to go. He's the one of Kajanja. What time are you coming back? Like he really wants my company. And for him, it's mostly because he has lots of questions and he knows I'm the one that will give him answers. He knows he will run to me for whatever it is. Because that boy, if there's a war in Israel, he's asking you, so what's happening? The president by that time, tell me about Amin. He scolds me. He takes me back in the books, and I like that he does that because for him, there's something about that boy. He didn't think for here. He thinks like for close here. He didn't think for his age group. He thinks like over his age. He thinks like a 13-year-old already. And Makil is a lover. He's my third child. He loves his mom. Like he's the one who will come and write notes on how you are, mom. Then he would draw pictures. Of course, that's his age. He's 6 going to 7. He will, but he's lovey-dovey and he has a very strong personality. He has a very strong personality. I think it also comes from, you know how you bond with your children differently. I had Dean when I was a certain state. So I bonded with him in that. And that's how it has been. Then Fata, and then for Maki, I was more relaxed. I was on my third son. It was special. So they come with different personalities, and I love them differently. I want to understand them differently. So recently we started something very special, and we call it the family meeting. So we call them every Saturday mornings, and we are telling them to just give us feedback on what they want us to do more as parents. And I like that it brings a lot of insight. They will speak openly. Is there something more you would want us to do? And everyone has something different altogether. This one wants this. Dean was telling me he loves that I'm doing the mother-son because I do for them differently now. I'm done with taking all of them as a group. And then, so now I focus on everyone individually because I feel like the attention will go, you know, when you go with, so I have a special bond with everyone differently. I'll take him alone and we have our quality time, go eat, take him for the events that he likes most. He was intrigued with skating, so I took him skating, painting, and he loved it. So they gave me feedback that they love those special bonds. So I relate with them differently.
No, it's another inside joke.
Okay. We all did.
No.
Girl, you real sound like a person who has been for APPG. Yes, each child, you take them out on their own so they enjoy what they want. Rather than spreading yourself.
This bulk raising arrangement.
But that's how I relate with them. Different personalities.
Wow. Okay, so I entered the story and I've been so happy because I remember I saw that post when she was doing painting.
And she just went with one.
I went with one, and I thought
I saw the picture.
And then you'll see things like, you've had comments like mothers and their own mothers
and their sons.
And usually it's
it shouldn't be.
So question is, what are your thoughts about that?
I will start because the evidence is in this show. This is the longest time we have spent on the first question. This is the longest time. And let me tell you, I have spoken the list for one. A mother, when you talk about the dynamic between a mother and her son, we've spoken about our children on all the shows, on different shows, but you give a mother time to speak about her son. If you notice, go back to each of these ladies' submissions. They didn't even want to end. We can be here for a whole
We even wanted to talk for each other.
We even want to talk for each other.
Right?
So when someone tells me mothers and their sons, I believe it is valid, and I believe that it can be healthy or it can be unhealthy. And I just want to So let's go to science of this. There is a concept that was introduced by an Australian neurologist, Sigmund Freud. And he was doing this as he was studying about the psychosexual stages of human development. And he found that there is a stage, it is deemed the Oedipus complex. He found that there is a stage in children's infancy where they have, children have feelings of desire for their opposite sex parent.
Really?
Yes.
In simple terms, a boy will feel in competition for possession of his mother from his father. And a girl will feel in competition with her mother for affection from the father. So boy possession, that's why you see that protective. And girl, it's just affection. And before I go any further, this theory is highly controversial.
Oh yes,
and it has been highly debated because of the complexity of the parent-child dynamic. There's so many moving parts that can change anything about the theory. But now we are just going to look at the bare foundation. And what I picked for the purposes of this conversation were the parts, the foundation that psychologists have used as a basis for increased research. So that's what gave me a thing that, okay, this part is generally widely accepted, and this one is still being highly debated. So I left those parts out and concentrated on this one. So back to the Oedipus complex. So as he was studying, so he did most of his research on male children, the relationship between male children and their parents, but he started focusing on male children. He started to see heavier significant patterns in male children and their mothers. By the way, Oedipus, he got the word from, in Greek mythology, there is a Greek king called Oedipus, who killed his father and married his mother.
Oh dear.
That's where the Oedipus name came from. And it's people trying to understand, why are these things happening? Why are sons so overly protective? What is there that is different from children, from girls? And he studied that between the ages, so there are 5 main stages of psychosexual development, from infancy to adulthood. And he noticed that there's a stage called the phallic stage between the ages of 3 and 6 years old in a boy's life, where he literally develops sexual feelings for his mother. Really? But it's removed from consciousness. It's not that consciousness of where you're like, I want to have sex with my mother. No. It's just that, have you had a desire? And it's 2 parts. So there's the one part of a desire for my mother and another part of competition and some sort of anger towards my father. You've heard of children, boys who say, I want to marry my mother when I grow up. It's usually in that stage. When there's an overprotective, when a child usually sees something that is going on between their mother and father, they'll always protect their mother. They'll always protect their mother for as long as it's a healthy dynamic. And I just want to say, just like we have milestones in children, where you say the child should be walking by 1, some children walk at 3. So these stages are not stuck in stone, you know. Some children experience these stages even at 8 years old. Some experience it even much younger. So it goes anywhere. What should be noted is that these children ideally the stages resolve biologically and naturally by themselves naturally, but they can be hindered by the mother. So in this stage, ideally what happens is that for the stage to be resolved, the boy has to identify with the father. And what does that mean? We are all born as individuals with a primal identity and then a super ego. The primal identity, Angie is always telling us that you guys, at the end of the day, we are animals. We are animals because of the primal identity. It is a primal urge to do everything you're not supposed to be doing. But in this stage of 3 to 6 years old, children develop a consciousness. That is the super ego. The super ego is a moral authority that speaks to the primal. That's the difference between animals and human beings. Because animals don't have the ego. They don't have that moral compass between right and wrong. But so the theories, they just do because it's primal. They'll do whatever is a primal urge. And that's why you'll find even when you be like, but men are men, it's mostly because, so this development usually happens in girl children. It's more resolved in girl children, and when there is family dynamics in the home that are not settled or healthy, that super ego does not develop fully. It doesn't develop properly. That's why you'll find people come up with those terms that men are trash. They are not trash. It's because there is a group of male adults whose super ego and consciousness did not develop, and if it did not develop at the right time.
They're more primal.
They're more primal. So ideally, what's supposed to happen in that now towards the age of 5 to 6, as they're growing older, that consciousness suppresses the primal urge. And then this is also influenced by other things, societal norms. So that's when they start to learn that in society, mothers and their sons, I don't want. So when you see that child pull away, the consciousness is talking. It's just talking. And then when they start to now relate with their father in a way that, this person, let me tell you what actually communicates. The primal tells the boy child that is competition. We need to fight him out of the heart of the home. We need to fight him out of the home. If mom keeps on that of smothering, then you create you're not allowing your child to naturally transition. But if you do like how Rachel says, like, no, now I have to explain to him what's going on. That's what helps the children to transition and helps them to identify. What the super ego is telling the primal is that man is much bigger than us. He's much stronger than us. You will not manage. Let's be realistic about it. He was here first. We found him here. So what can we do about it? How can we kakana ourselves? So now as the consciousness keeps talking to the primal, then the child realizes, hey, no. Dad loves mom. We are all here together. We can coexist. And so that is how, after the age usually of 6, 7 years old, the protective remains. So you'll find that the physical now they pull away, and then but the emotional remains. But it is not as overly protective. You'll find their children in homes. It's because you guys are in healthy households. In unhealthy households, these boys are beating their fathers. A boy is hitting his father's stomach, a 3-4-year-old boy, because of the way he feels his mother is being treated. But when you grow up in a healthy home, you might not even notice those stages. You may not notice the transition, but the mothers usually are the ones who have to allow it to happen. Like I like how Rachel spoke, her evolution. She did not say that, my son, I wanted him around, I was with him. No, that phase starts from the child. The child comes to you. It's not you it doesn't come from the mother. It's now you. How do you respond? It's how you respond to it.
To his coming.
So for me, it's because I believe in science. So I believe a lot in the elements of that, but again, with caution. There are so many moving
variables,
parts, environmental, there's so many things going on. Really, there are kids who transition much faster because they're in environments of strict culture norms, religious, places where those things, the influences,
you can't even,
you cannot even pass. They are wiped out immediately. Someone tells you, honor your mother and father, honor your father already. They're telling you, kakana. You know. So it's I believe in science, so I really do believe in the validity of mothers and their sons. But for me, I think if we can, it's a good.
It is.
It should be.